Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video we will be sewing our basic skirt pattern that we made in the last video. If you haven't seen that, I'd advise you watch that first before continuing with this video, and if you have, well, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so things that you will be needing: a fabric. You can get any fabric of your choice. If you want something stretchy, you can get there as well. I'm using African print fabric. You will also be needing pins. You will need a chalk, of course, a tape measure, scissors. You need your curve and a zip for the skirt. All right, let's just go right into it. Okay, so you take your pattern, your front pattern. This is what your front pattern looks like. So you place center front on the folded part of the fabric. As you can see, we already wrote cut on fold. So you place that. You place that onto the fabric like so, and then you pin. And then you can see. Now we're going to mark where our dart is going to be on the fabric. As you can see, this is the dart. I have like a small thing where I use how I mark my own darts. This is your dart. So you take your pin and you pin all the way through. Can you see that? This is the pointy part of the pin. You pin it all the way through. You take another pin. You pin each line of the dart. You just stab it all the way through so that we know where to mark our dart. Can you see that? Yeah. So you take your chalk and then you mark it, and you just mark where the dart is meant to be. On the back as well, since we have the 3 poking needles, so you just mark where the dart. Same thing for the bottom part. You mark the dart area. So you take this out. And then you mark the dart. Just like so. All right. You pin back. All right. So now we have marked where our dart is going to be on each side of the front skirt. Now we're going to add our 1.5 inch sewing allowance to the side. Here it says to add 1/2 inch sewing allowance on here. You see that? So we're going to add 1/2 inch. And there you have it. This is the front of your skirt. So now we're going to cut the back pattern. The back pattern is very similar to the front pattern. The only difference is that it has a zip allowance. So now the next step is to mark out your dart. So this is it. Can you see that? The dart lines on each side. So we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing for the back. So we have the dart mark for each side of the back. The next thing for us to do is to stitch your dart. Because you already have the mark, so it should be very easy for you. The front dart and the back dart, like so. So now we're going to work on the back. Now that we have the dart all sewn up, all stitched up, you will take right side and the right side. Now this is the wrong side, the side where you can see the darts, like the sewing of the dart. That's the wrong side. So you place the right side and the right side together, like that. Like that. So you remember that this has a sewing 1 inch sewing allowance. So you will go ahead and take your tape measure, mark your hip depth, which is 8 inches, and then go down by 1 inch. That's 9 inches. Now from that marked line, from that 9-inch line, you are going to stitch together the both sides together by 1 inch all the way to the bottom of the skirt. All right, so I'm just going to do that right now. So as you can see, from the 9 inches all the way down has been stitched up, and then you leave that opening. This is where the zip is going to go. So this is the zip, like that. You see that? Like that. So one thing that you need to learn is that sometimes when you're sewing or you're drafting a pattern or you're cutting, you can mistakenly cut off or add more into the allowance. And I know that we already added a 1.5 inch allowance, but just so that we were very sure and they were very clear, we're going to remeasure the dress forms measurements, her sizes, and we're going to measure all of that and cross-check if this is going to fit and be enough. Obviously it should, but I'm just trying to take extra. So what I do is I just measure the front separately from the back. So that is 15.5, and then you place that 15.5 here, and then you get 31.5, and her measurement is 20. So that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 sewing allowance for the waist. So that's give or take 1.5 inch all the way round, 1.5 inch on each side. So you just take your tape measure and your chalk and you mark 1.5 inch on each side and 1.5 inch on that side, just like that. So now we're going to measure the hip. Again, I measure separately because one is always bigger than the other. I don't know how that works, but that is always how it turns out. So we want an inch. So that is the hip. So we have 21 for the front. And then you take that 21 and then you place it the back. And then we have, say, 43. So we have 43, and her hip is 36. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 inches on the hip instead of our original 6 inch. And then you mark 1.75, that's 1/3. All right, so now you can see that we have marked our sewing line. So now we're just going to stitch our marked part all the way down. All right, so we have stitched our sides together. Now for the next step of our skirt, we need a band. First, you take your tape measure and measure the waist of your skirt. So we have 25.5. So you fold that like that. So because we want 1 inch band, so in order to get a 1 inch band, we need to add half inch sewing allowance on each side of the band. So what we're going to do is you fold, this is the fabric like this, so you fold that into 2 and measure 2 inches now, because half inch on each side will give you 1, and then when you add in 1 to your 1 inch band already, that will give you 2 inches. So you just measure 2 inches. $25.5 for the waist. So that $25.5, you add 1 inch on each side, because I want the band to overlap, so we can use hook and eye or a pressed button on the band. So we're going to use so 25.5, 26.5, 27.5. So that's 1 inch. So we're going to add 27.5. You do is you open up the band like that, and you fold in half inch. You fold in half inch all the way through, and then you iron it on each side. So that is our band, folded, ironed, and folded. So now we're just going to place this on the skirt. So what you do is right sides together like that. Because we want to determine the middle of the center of the band. So what we're going to do is, this is the center of the band. You just take your scissors and then you notch that, so that you know the center of the band. Center of the skirt, you notch it, notched part, so you know. So this indicates where the band is going to meet. So you take your band, you open up your skirt just like this, and then you take your band, the notched part, you place it inside. This is the right side of the band, and this is the wrong side of the skirt. So we are taking the right side and placing it inside of the wrong side of the skirt. So the right side of the band facing the wrong side of the skirt. Just like that. Yeah. And we're going to just pin it up. So we're pinning that all the way around. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this round. So once that, I have gone ahead to stitch that up. As you can see, stitched. So this is it. The raw edges still there. The band is on the inside of the skirt. So all you have to do now is go to the edge of the skirt. Go to the edge of the skirt. This is folded at the other end of the band. So you just take that. This is the right side of the band. So you just fold that like that. And then you stitch like about, say, 1/4 inch. You just stitch on each side of the band. So I've just gone ahead to stitch that together. As you can see, the both ends together. So now all you have to do now is, so this is the right side and this is your band extension. So you would just take this and put it inside. And now you put your zip in it as well, so that that is nice and all neat. Alright, like that. And same thing here. You take that and then you put it into the band just like that with your excess zip, and then you go like that into the skirt. So here you have a band fitted skirt. So what we're going to do now is just pin the band in place all around and then go ahead and stitch the edge like this. Just go ahead and stitch that together. So just like that. So I'm just going to iron this so that it sits and it's in place when I am stitching. All the way in place, just like that, completely stitched up. Even the inner of the fabric, everything looks all stitched up. So now I'm going to go ahead, and this is the zip. I have a lot of raw edges for my skirt that needs to be dealt with. So I'm going to go ahead and use an overlock machine to overlock all of this and serge it into place. But if you don't have an overlock machine, you can just use a bias tape and tape it, together, or you can fold that into two like that. You fold 1 and 2, and then you stitch it all up. So I have gone ahead to overlock all of my raw edges so that it looks super neat. So it looks neat, and also done that for the bottom part of my skirt. So what I'm going to do now is I will just fold 1 inch like that, and then stitch all the way around. All right guys, so I've gone ahead and stitched that up. So now just going to turn our skirt over. And then you have that. So just going to add the hook and eye to this part of the skirt. I'm going to press it and we're done. is how, and that is how you make a basic short skirt. So I'm just going to show you how it looks on the dress form. Beautiful, right? That is the back of your skirt. Look at how nicely it's laid. You can see your darts here as well. You can see the darts. It is basically on the apex line. On the apex line. And there you have it.